good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Zwift Community Live broadcast of race number 7 of the Chase Races powered by WTRL AutoCat system. If you haven't been a part of the Chase Races yet or part of the broadcast, what's special about this is that the AutoCat is able, the auto categorization is able to group members into A, B, C, and D categories that are based off of what they can produce for power and speed to battle against each other to the line with a little bit of handicap times between each group that's hitting out on course. So essentially, it's a team time trial with hundreds of riders, sometimes in each one of the categories. Nathan Gare here, Anna Russell coming out of New Zealand, and it's been a lot of fun watching this happen, and we've got a lot of chatter, a lot in the social media sphere as well as in the chats and in games saying who's going to win each and every week. And now we've got each one of these in-game kits and a women's category of their own. So much going on around the Chase race.
Yeah, and Happy New Year, Nathan. I hope you had a great one. I had a pretty quiet one, I've got to say. I think I was in bed at about 10 o'clock, but there we go. I'm excited for
the new year. Oh my goodness. Too much
I got up for a
training.
dawn swim though.
I knew it was training. It was more whiteboard. The whiteboard is more important.
I know. Oh, look, there's a lot happening in Zwift as well. I mean, we can talk about it later. Bike choices have gone crazy. Things have changed. But anyway, on to the Chase race. I've put it out there on the YouTubes. I'm going with category D today. I think
really?
they've got good numbers. I'm liking the splits. I'm just looking at the time differences. They've got about 5 minutes between them and the C's. And I know the C's always catch, but they're looking like some pretty good numbers, about a third of the numbers the C's have got. So it's a flat-ish course. They've got a little bit of hills through this Greatest London flat when they hit the Richmond Park area. But I'm going the D's. I'm throwing it out there. It's a brave call, I know.
Well, interesting enough, the D category this week does have a lot more numbers. I'm looking at this as well, and I have to scroll quite a bit to find the bottom of the list. We're also seeing some names in there that are very familiar in the community. I do want to give a shout out to Fiona Marshall and the Galaxy team. We'll be doing a little bit about Galaxy tomorrow, actually, in the TTT team. Rave is in there as well that we're seeing. So good to see some good representation. We'll jump right on in with them as soon as we can find them out on course. The Bees did just jump out on course, though, for the mixed race. The women's race, I did see 43 signed up. I'm hoping that a lot of them do show up for it. It's going to be interesting to see how this ends up playing out. Some top names, it looks like, in the women's only race for the Chase race across all the categories. I saw Sox for Watson there. You said NZ Bro was showing up, as well as I think a couple of the other top, not only community, but perhaps some of the Premier Division. I'm seeing Kat Haynes from Scots for Watts, BBB there with Ross Phillip as well. Electric Spirit Call, and WLC, one of the bigger names that we could talk about amongst the women's teams right now in Premier Division.
Yeah, exactly. Wahula Cole. So they're in there. I think the women's race is going to be quite dynamic. The groups are a little bit smaller, so they absolutely have to work together, and it will be more of that kind of team time trial formation almost. They're going to have to chat and say, let's actually take a turn on the front, whereas when you've got a huge group of 200, it kind of just shuffles around and moves, and there's always kind of a bit of momentum. But when you've got less than, say, 15, you have to start some kind of a formation and some kind of order going. Otherwise, you're just it's not going to work. You're going to kind of just destroy each other and end up with ones and twos.
I've been in a couple of fairly frustrating situations without a whole lot of riders in the Chase race once in a while, in the E category specifically, where you're like, am I the only one? And then you showed up with about 5 riders one time, I think, in an E category, and we essentially had our own prep for the next day's TTT is what it seemed to be. We even had our own poll order, the whole 9 yards ended up happening. So we got ourselves organized, which was nice. But the B category, flying 180 racers. And that's got to be one of the largest fields we have ever seen in the Chase race. Well, ever. 7 races in. And I'm hoping to see, just like we are with the TTT, we're at number 143, I believe it is this week. I have a feeling this is so popular. Seeing the socials blow up a lot with a lot of people posting about it. We're just going to keep on going in a similar direction. But they're flying along here. 54 kilometers per hour is no joke speeds right now.
Yeah, this part of the London course, you can just go so fast. I mean, they're going to hit that right hander and hit a little bit of a climb. But after that, you're looking at, maybe some sort of +2, -2. Yeah, this is going to be very, very fast. And then they'll get to the park and I think they'll just breeze through those hills with the momentum of this number of riders. It's pretty phenomenal. And I'm looking at the names on the side. So many of them are in Zwift Racing League teams. You can just see by the letters behind their name. I think people are a little bit panicked that that racing is coming up, in about a week's time. So this is, yeah, I think people are getting nervous. They're a bit worried. They've gone over the festive, gone a bit festive, and now they need to get back into some racing. That's why we're seeing these big numbers.
That is probably a little bit of something there. People thinking, okay, time to get a little bit of training in, get some intensity in the legs, because the Zwift Racing League is no joke, especially this season, as there is a lot more climbing that's going to be coming at the riders. So it'll be interesting to see how things change up perhaps a little bit. Now, I want to speak to something here, Anna, because I see a lot of Cervelo S5s out there still. A whole lot of those deep dish DT Swiss wheels. Are you on the train of swapping to a new fastest bike or not? And what would be your selection out there today?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's been some little tweaks, and you might have missed it over the holiday period. Not me. I was straight on that Zwift Insider article, but there was an update.
Didn't lose any sleep or anything. I mean, it was just like immediately right to it. It was right alongside the training in the morning because you fell asleep at 10 p.m. So you could get up and catch that Zwift Insider. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, absolutely. But I mean, when you're telling a Prem team their bike selections, there's a bit of pressure there. You want to make sure it's right. And so, yeah, there was a new group set added that actually weighed down that Cervelo S5, and it is not the best bike anymore. And we've actually gone back to my favorite. So that's the Cervelo. That is not the one you want to be on. You want to be back on that Specialized.
The one right in front of it, right there.
Just in front of it. There we go. Specialized S-Works, Venge. That is one. That setup there that
Graybeard here got the memo. Whoever this guy is. Here we go. Well, this guy got the memo too.
Not the right disc wheel. Ooh. Yeah, you want to have the DT Swiss, but yeah, that Specialized Venge S-Works back on top. I'm loving it, and I love that bike. So yeah, I'm glad to see that. But what I think is that because they're making all these minor changes to group sets, I think, and this comes from no inside knowledge, that maybe there will be some group set choices you can make in the future. So you can decide what you want to put on each bike, do a bit more chop and changing. That'd be pretty rad.
Yeah, we need to get to a place, World of Warcraft type-ish, so everyone's going to be like, what are you talking about, Nathan? But you can go on your character, okay? Stay with me here, everybody. This is one of the coolest things you could possibly have. You go on your character into the shop, you're dressing your character up, and each part of your armor or your bike has its own rating for some sort of specific. Now all the D&D nerds are going to be like, yeah, let's go, because you get a rating on what you put on to each, so right, dexterity, speed, strength, whatever it might be. Well, here, weight versus pure speed, or whatever else we might be able to come up with when it comes to cycling. It'd be pretty awesome to see something like that, to really kit out the entire bike rather than just a bike and some wheels. We start changing up with the group set all the way through the cranks, handlebars, etc. I think that people would sit. I mean, in real life, Anna, there's a reason why you have your whiteboard. I bet in real life you nerd out like crazy on this specific topic.
In real life has kind of merged with Zwift. I very rarely ride on the road now, so I'm all about my virtual setup. But yes, I do like having a nice, clean setup that goes well. I think this mix and matching would be awesome. I also saw some things come out over the holiday about a new kind of Tron-looking smart bike, which kind of got me a bit excited too. I'm glad that I went publicly back on the side of the Trons, because I wouldn't mind one of those sitting in my suffer room, I gotta say.
It did look pretty sweet. I'm excited to see the new hardware that might be coming down the production line. So we do have some B category riders here having a little bit of a go at each other. Actually, interesting enough. I'm not sure they're going to get the win today acting that way, but we'll see how this ends up playing out. They are traveling at 47. We'll see if we can get some time splits going on here. We'll jump in with our D category in just a second as well. Let's go ahead and see, though. We will have a side-by-side here of the women's and the men's race in just a moment, as the women's Bs are out on course as well. They are just jumping on over to the. You see a nice Little riding for Team Little. I didn't even know that was actually a team here. Very small compared to what we see with the mixed. We shouldn't say men's, but the mixed category there with 180 riders. So as you were saying, this is a little bit more of a team time trial with 9 riders. It's one more than what you usually get in a WTRL TTT.
Yeah, and I doubt any of these people are on Discord together. So it kind of makes it a little bit tricky. I'm not actually seeing much chat either. So that's never good, because what it's going to rely on is just people, taking one for the team and getting on the front. As we're seeing Van Hoove there from Cryogen, they're very good at their TTTs, so they probably know the drill. But yeah, there's got to be a bit more chat on screen. I think at the moment, just probably until they get used to it, their smaller group, they might end up just treating this as a sort of B-cat race, going after it, attacking each other, which hopefully they realize pretty soon isn't the way to do it. Or maybe it could be good when the A's catch up to them and they make a bigger group and chase down the bigger group of C's. But yeah, it looks like Van Hove is doing a lot of work on the front here, hitting up to 4.7 watts kg, 5.3, and everyone's happy to sort of sit in there.
Yeah, most likely going to be the powerhouse, it looks like, out here at 158 beats per minute currently. The rider out of Belgium having a solid push here with this Tron bike. As you can see, it's pretty popular across this category at the moment. Let's see if we can jump in with a few of the other categories as well, as it looks like the A's out there. Jessica Hamilton, I have a feeling, is going to be able to help us out here across the categories here a little bit to get over to perhaps we'll see if we can jump over there as these riders are making their way. They're going to be taking a right-hand turn away from the river here in just a moment and on over. Want to speak to the course out here a little bit, Anna? As they head toward the mall and then to the back streets. What do you call those streets of London that are kind of almost unnamed to the rest of the world for us? I bet you those who live there know exactly what these locations are.
I know. And actually, I had a friend who's from London take us on a group ride on this course and gave us a history as we were going along. It was like a virtual tour guide, and I can't remember anything that she said. So I'll just have to go with, that is, I think, the London Eye on your left, a huge, big Ferris wheel. We will go through Parliament. We'll go past Buckingham Palace. We'll hit the Mall, which is that red kind of under wheel tarmac. So it's a little bit stony if you've been there. It's kind of a bit rough. And that's probably about all I know. I think maybe that looks like a jail that they're just going past now. So I have gone to a museum near there. There'll be people watching her from London. Just saying I'm getting it all wrong.
Did you just call the palace a jail?
That is not Buckingham Palace. That is definitely some kind of a jail or fortress.
That's a jail.
Someone...
Oh, man. Whatever that is, someone is going to be like, that is definitely not a jail. Or maybe it is. Maybe it is a jail. I think it's
someone
Buckingham
come on the
Palace.
Socials and tell me.
Oh, my goodness. We need chat. What is that building, and is it anywhere near a jail, is what we need to know here. And also, do you know this part. I feel like, what is an eggplant? This is the same, like, aubergine.
Yeah.
This is the same conversation.
Aubergine.
I actually can say that word now. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. That's good. And I know that you can say Adidas as well. I know that you'll be changing the way you say it, because we know that's the proper way to say it. So
happening. That is never happening. There's no. We've been saying Adidas here in the U.S. like that. I mean, it's maybe it is completely wrong, but that's just the way it's said here. It doesn't change.
Oh, I know, but they are on the Mall now. I do know this, and I know how to say it now because I keep getting it wrong. So they're on the Mall. I've actually been there. Beautiful place. They used to have the ladies' tour go around this part, which looks just great. There's a whole bunch of cyclists on there. Buckingham Palace coming by. They'll take this hairpin. Then they'll head to the start banner, basically. It's a very long lead-in for this course. And then they're going to head out... kind of around some more of the streets. They're going to go through that tricky tunnel underground area where you sort of drop really fast, go across those wooden parts through the tube, and then hit the sort of rolling terrain of Richmond Park. You might see some deer out there. It's actually a beautiful place to cycle. Been there a few times. They're not going to hit any of the big hills like Box Hill, Fox Hill, Leith Hill. They're just going to go through that rolling terrain, but it's enough to kind of break everyone up. Then it's a very, very quick back through the tunnel and about 1,500 meters to the finish line. So that's kind of a course in a nutshell.
Yeah, and this course, it does have a couple of bumps out there, that's for sure. Keeping things together, especially with these smaller packs amongst the ladies' crew out here, is going to be maybe a little bit more difficult. And I think in these other races, if we do look at the numbers again between this B category in with the mixed race and the women's only race, you have a lot more wiggle room here to just let riders go. Whereas you have to slow down in these other categories to wait up, or losing those bodies is just going to be too much power exiting that group. And you're going to really suffer for it when it comes to the time at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've got to call out Scotty P here. I've seen he's been pretty chatty. He's kept the group positive, even though some negativity entered this B group. And now he's pulling up riders who are dropping off a little bit. So, yeah, call out to Scotty P. He's a great role model in this group, keeping spirits high and keeping them humming along. 55k an hour. They're going to hit a downhill here, and they're just going to go, I think they'll go up to about 60. There's some real pushing off the front. Henson there from WTRL, a couple of Aussie riders behind him, and the F Cancer team, who I've seen in a lot of races lately, also up there. I've seen, they were in the Crit Series. I've seen Paolo. He almost won it last week. But yeah, they're a team really coming to the forefront. They've just been very prevalent in recent races.
Yeah, they've been all over the races actually as of recently. It's one of those teams recently in the last year that's really made a splash. It's always really great to see the excitement. A lot of times it comes with a new team out on the scene. Those look like a couple of riders here getting dropped off. I think that's actually a catch of a couple of the C category riders.
Yeah.
Already being caught. What are we looking at for time gaps so far here? If we do get an idea how things are playing out, and what do we think is going to happen for the current live results?
Just kind of waiting for a little update here on Zwift as to how we're looking with time gaps. But it the fact that they've just caught some tail end Cs, and a lot of them, I mean, that's not just one or two. It looks like they've kind of mowed through about 20 pretty quickly there. Also seeing Scotty P, who I just mentioned, look at him just sitting on the back there, sort of being the leader from behind. I like that. And I saw obviously someone who's riding is watching the stream as well and said that Scotty was getting called out for his leadership. So that's great to see. But yeah, that's not good for the Cs. That so many of them just got caught there. And there'll definitely be a pack ahead. We'll wait till I get the update soon and I can see where they are. But yeah, it's I know I called out the Ds, but maybe I should have gone with the tried and true Bs.
Yeah, it looks like B category going to have another one of those days. From what I'm seeing, a finish time of 47:04 right now. For the B category, we'll see with 56 riders total finishing here. In the A category, a finish time of 49:12. I don't think that rider list, though, is 56, actually. But the D category, though, at 47:46, they could hold off that hard chasing. We'll see how that ends up playing out here. They are making their way over toward the underground here with the D category in just a moment. We're going to try and make our way to them. We are having a little bit of trouble swapping categories when it comes to the mixed race out here today. We'll keep you updated on time gaps, though, and we will be able to see them make the catches as they do out there. On the women's race, though, we will be able to go across the categories very easily. It is not giving us any trouble at the moment, as we do see the C's here looking to try and hold off a 2-minute gap to the B category. They can see that gap. And it does look like the C category are doing an amazing job of holding that that gap pretty easily, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Sort of, and that's a big gap as well to pull in 2 minutes. And it is, just even as we're watching, it's kind of expanding a bit. Like I talked about before, Van Hove there from Cryogen, look at that gap. She's got 10 seconds on the riders behind her. So she's just gone solo. Which, yeah, I think from what I could see, she was pushing really high numbers, and I think the others just maybe can't keep up. And Van Hove is like, whatever, I got this. I'm just going to go for that category on my own. Not quite in the spirit of a chase race, but it looks like we're down to a point where the Bs are chasing one of their own, and maybe that'll make them go a little bit faster. But the Cs, they were working together well. They were all together. They kind of, I don't think Van Hove as a solo rider could catch up 2 minutes.
Yeah, riding for Team Cryogen. We'll see if we can find the A category here. I think A's are a little bit lonely out here. Mob's here from WLC. And then it's going to be Becker Ward from the Revo team. They've got 157 to close down to that B category ahead of them. It is doable for a couple of riders like this if they've got the watts per kilogram, but at 3.6, 3.8, the challenge is that the amount of rest that the other riders can get in these other categories is just way more than Mobs or Ward than possibly can get. So the reality of the B category and C categories, they can probably hold a 3 to 4 watt per kilogram on the front and then sit in and rest, whereas these riders almost have to do it the entire time all the way through.
I mean, I think the only strategy these two are left with is to kind of hold up a little bit, wait to be caught, latch on, and then just work with that other category and go for a sprint at the end. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Just two of those A's. That's going to make it really hard work because you can kind of see they're both sort of averaging around that 3.8. There's no big sort of ease off behind. So like you said, there's no recovery. They've still got, what is that? Looks like a minute that they're catching. I think that's going to come down pretty quick. The Bs, will they be able to catch 2 minutes? I'm not sure. I still think that's a bit too much ask from these two riders, especially if you look at those watts per kg. You know, it's hovering around 3.8. Right at the front of that B cat, they were up to 4 there for a sec. So I think the Bs just will be riding faster, and the Ds, same story as the As. I think it's going to be way too hard for these guys to catch up with just two riders.
Well, look at this D category. They're out ahead, though. They went first, right? So
yeah, true. They got a bit of time.
At 331 and point at 2.3 watts per kilogram right now, with the amount of time that they have, you know, I wonder. I mean, I think this is the story, though, that we're looking at here is, will this D category be caught with just two riders? Can they hold off the amount of riders that are on the chase behind them? They're 12.4 kilometers in. It's a total of 31 kilometers, so almost halfway through the race at this point. They're probably going to finish right around that 1 hour mark or so. And you know, at 331, it's going to be coming down pretty quickly in the speed differentiations. But I do think that this D category has a pretty solid shot at this with Mary and Tasman Whip coming from, is that Erase? What is the team name there? Erase?
I'm not sure. They're both in the same kit, though, so I'm unsure. Is that a team kit? Because they've got two different team names, but that looks like a custom kit. I haven't seen that in game before.
The D kit.
So it looks like the WT. Oh, so there we go. Yes. So they're from the same team today, the D team. But yeah, Mary from AHDRL, she'd usually be in the D team. Because I was about to call out their fashion choice there with the yellow and then the Neokyo accessories, but she's from AHDRL. She'd usually be in a purple kit, and that would look spot on. So I won't call her out on that because that's she's been forced into the yellow. But yeah, Mary, I've seen her race before. She's good. She's a good D rider. She'll be pushing the pace here. And Whip, I think, I'm not sure if this Arrays Meso B team, but obviously has done some racing. She'll stay on that wheel. Hopefully they'll take some turns. Could see a D win here. So if I said D's at the start, maybe I was meaning D for the women's race. Looking at the men's race, the Bs, I think, are going to end up catching the Cs fairly soon. There's not a huge gap there. Looks like about 800 meters potentially between those two now, but a bigger gap to the Ds. And the Ds are sort of entering this rolling terrain. I think they're sort of just coming into that area where it goes up and down a little bit more. And there's not a huge amount of tarmac left to cover. So I'm still going to stick with the Ds for the men's race as well.
Ooh, it's a big call here. We'll see. It is getting close. It is getting close here. I do not doubt them today whatsoever, actually, as to whether or not they can. The question, I think, is how hard are these B category riders going to go up and over the top of the climbs here, and how much speed they carry on that downhill, and whether or not the Ds can even come close to matching this. We do see Meg Yetta off the front here with the WBR 500 in the name. I'll give a little bit of a shout out to a team that I'm not familiar with that did just uh, get some notice. Is that Tasman rider here on the right hand side? She is riding for this Erase Meso Riders. They are registered over on Zwift Power. I'm completely unfamiliar actually with this team. So if anybody in chat or is out there knows when this team was created and what they're all about, because they are definitely new on the radar. And it does look like their riding started back on looking very. It's actually very very new team. The rides we're looking at here only back into December of 2021, actually. So perhaps this is a newer team that was created specifically for ZRL. There's a lot of hunts. Have you seen on socials, Anna, all of the different
Oh,
posts coming out? How many people are looking for teams right now? The last couple of
I
days
know.
we have right now to sign up. Registration's gonna close. So if you got a team or you're thinking of putting one together, head on over to WTRL.racing because the time is running out. And this season, there is not going to be the opportunity to sign up any longer once we get going.
Exactly. I think it's hashtag ZRL Team Hunt is where you'll find all the sort of people who are looking for teams. If you're a manager, go out there. There's some pretty decent riders too. Do you know what I think caused that massive interest in people joining teams was GCN actually did a special on Zwift Racing League. Did you see that?
Yeah, it was amazingly done.
Yeah, it was very cool. And they had the GCN team, which I think they're entering again. And they were so complimentary of what the Racing League was, bringing together a community. I think they were, they all lived in different places and they could get on every week and chat. And I think that's pretty much half of it, right? I mean, half of it is just some really fun, epic racing. The other half is you get on and you chat with your friends every week. It's like a little sort of wine night, but on a bike. I love it. And I think they caught that really well. I think it's drummed up a huge amount of interest, and we're going to see some pretty intense racing coming up starting next week. And a lot of the people we're seeing on screen now will be out there as well, and hopefully getting some racing into their legs and ready to hit it. That first race is always hard, don't you think? You forget just the intensity.
Especially if you haven't been racing. I mean, if you race Swift a lot as one of your intensities every week, right? You're kind of used to it or whatever. But if you've not have been racing for a little while and all of a sudden you jump into it, and it's going to be the Neokyo all nighter. I mean, that's
Oh,
not exactly, it's got a 1.7 or so kilometer climb right in the middle of it, something along those lines. I mean, that climb, it's a little bit of ups and downs, but it can definitely put you in the hurt locker. And the downhill is pretty fast. People can come walk away from you. And with the pack dynamic 3.0 has really both been really great in some of my experiences and really, really frustrating, but not because it isn't realistic, because of how realistic it is that you
yeah.
have to fight your way by avatars. And if avatars are getting dropped, you have to, but at the same time they're fighting, they're not just giving up. You have to fight to get by them. You have to fight for that
Yeah.
road space. And the back of the pack, just like in real life group rides, is not the place to be any longer. You can't just hang out
Oh,
there. You have to be mid pack and finding that churn correctly, or next thing you know, it's game over out the back.
yeah, and you have to risk a little bit. So I found with the new draft, you sort of have to feather the pedals. You have to risk dropping back slightly to get a better position in the center of the pack. And it's always risky because if you're going fast and you drop back slightly, you could drop. But I found if you could just edge back, because you don't want to be on the sides, because on the sides, you're catching some wind, right? But you can't get your avatar to move back in if people are there unless you just drop a little bit behind and kind of maneuver. I mean, do you know what I've found, Nathan, with this new draft is I'm constantly moving my body and turning my wheel. I have a steering block, I'm not using it. It's just that you're trying to edge your way in physically and you're kind of not getting in because it has made it quite realistic. I'm loving it. I have found I've been dropped on a couple of downhills, so I need to be wary of that, and definitely in that Neokyo course I think the hardest thing I think you're going to find is you've got 3 sprints happening within 5 kilometers. I mean, it's pretty intense to be doing that. It's basically, absolute full power off threshold, which is pretty hard, but it'll be a short race. These guys now heading into the escalator part of the course. 21.8 kilometers in. I mean, it's only a 31 kilometer course, got about 10k to go. They're working pretty well together, I think, sort of rolling through some of the C categories here. So it really is going to be, I think they're going to make the catch on these C's, and the D's. Oh, I think they're over this last part of the course. I think their time gaps come down quite significantly. It looks like a catch could be made, and we might be looking at these B's taking it out.
Look
the
at this
A's, unfortunately,
and we're just starting to see some of the
dropped.
D yellow jerseys here, right? A lot of the C's coming on through, as we can see here. This B category is going to punch up at the top here. This is where we're going to make up a lot of time. As some of the D's, though, start to come into sight. These are the first ones we've really seen out on course. So the B category showing what they do. Is that the main C's up there? That's got to be the main C's. That's a large pack of C's here just ahead of this B category. As they come over the top, 37 kilometers per hour. Newt's in here now from Cryo. Looking to push mid-pack right now. But now we're about to see this catch, and it will be B category catching the C's here. And it's only the D's still out on course.
It's during that, I was just watching some of the live dots moving along on Zwift Power, and it was in that rolling terrain that the Bees mowed through those time gaps. And look how close that was. I mean, it started with about a 800-meter lead, and then now you can see it's down to about 50 meters. They're about to make the catch. Pretty exciting. And then I just wonder what the C's will do, because they could, a few of them could tap onto this group. It's fairly flat now, but a lot of them seem to have pretty burnt out legs from that rolling part of the course and have lost a lot of momentum. D's still up the road, still holding out hope.
And, I don't think hope is lost. Depending on how far up the road they are from that C category right now, I do believe there's still plenty left here. And also whether or not they've broken apart. And because we haven't seen too many of these D category riders, getting swallowed up just yet, we'll see. We'll see here. Jarlin now to the front from the DBR team. Again, apologies we're not able to go across to the other categories at the moment. We'll see if we do get them here in just a second across them. But we do see who is being caught now. And the C category here, I think it's just a matter of time. 46 kilometers per hour. It looks like Jarlin, one last-ditch effort here from the Danish rider here. Up into 5 watts per kilogram. He wants to just make this happen now and start thinking about those yellow jerseys to be caught.
Yeah, they're making a good decision here. I saw some chat there from one of the Twitch streamers, actually, to just go through the C's, don't sit in, just mow through them and catch up to those D's as quick as possible. They've been caught out before, this group, where they've kind of made the first catch and just almost given up a little bit and just sort of ridden into the end, not realizing people are out the front. So they're not making that mistake again. They're going to go through pretty quick. And look at that formation. You just see this very little spread out across the road. They are all pushing pretty hard. Look at those numbers. 5.7 watts there for a little while. 5.9. These guys are going so fast. They will mow through the C group. Look at that. They're just getting dropped. Those blue jerseys, it's very hard for them to get back on.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one now at this point, as I think these B category riders are extremely motivated. This has really been one of those categories that I feel like has come together strongly and has some camaraderie now alongside of this broadcast. Really enjoying having that here. Now look at this here, BB coming on through. Is this actually going to be interesting enough here with the auto categorization here? Because if that is going to be Brett Boniface, that is some crazy power here in a B category.
That's that's a big call. I think just looking, I think the D's are about 100 meters up the road. So unfortunately, I think they will be caught. You're looking at about 6K to the end of this race. I think you can just see them on the top right mini map. A little group of Ds. I think they've been really decimated through parts of that course. We've seen some stragglers picked up, and I think that main group of Ds has really dropped in numbers.
You're right, there's only 3 left.
Yeah.
That's it.
I think, unfortunately, they just couldn't stay together, so they will be caught very quick by this group of Bs. And then it comes down to who's going to have the sprint to the line. They'll be hitting them all. the red pavement, and then it's that all-out sprint. You hit that hairpin. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, got to say I'm wrong. Looks like the bees in that mixed division will be taking it out. It's just who now? Oh, there we
Well,
go.
it's
There's a few more Ds
little more than
there.
3 riders. A little more than 3 riders. The power just wasn't picking all of them up actually. So it looks like the D category now caught. So now the question is the sprint at the end of the day? 2 minutes is the gap back to the A category. Not going to be caught. There's no way at this point.
No.
As we even see Moeller coming on through from the DBR Tornadoes class. Good to see him here hanging out as always, letting everybody know it's 2+ minutes, no big deal. And now I have a feeling because of that 2 minutes, we might start getting a little bit more of a spread across and just a looking at each other rather than any kind of pressure on the pedals, because the working together at this point is not needed. Everyone's caught. Team time trial. The
Yeah,
gloves
look
come
how
off
much it's
now,
spread out.
Yeah, no one cares.
You can just see that pack slowing. It's everyone's lined up across the road now. It looks like a real life pack, where everyone kind of just drags across the road. Pace isn't on. No one's taking it up. I think we might see some early attacks out of this group, in my opinion. But looking at the women's race, I do want to call out that Van Hove was caught by the bees behind her. So she is still pushing off the front, and there's a bit more chat happening. So I think they're sort of just working together a little bit more. And look at the C's, 30 seconds ahead. So they've pulled in a lot on that C group.
I was not expecting this at all. I thought that this B category was going to get whooped, but they're making this a race.
Yeah, this is good. You could just see the C's right ahead there. Not as many of them. Definitely not going as fast. D's still 1 minute 15 ahead, but look how quickly that time is coming down. Just while I've been talking, it's gone down 5 seconds. So I do also think those D's will get caught. They've got just over 10K to go. And yeah, I think even the B's in this race will do this. The A's, way too few there to work through. Their legs will be absolutely killing them at the moment. And looking at those time gaps,
they're 185 beats per minute. I mean, they have been demolishing themselves. This is a sufferfest. Talk about a 2-person up TT time trial at this point. I mean, this and the encouragement between the two of them, pretty awesome actually to see, and a big kudos to them just getting this done. It's a huge effort. So I remember just having 4 or 5, I think maybe we had 6 riders out there in an E category chase race together, and it was a little bit like, oh, are we going to do this? A little disheartening a little bit. But these 2 women, they have not let that discourage them one bit and have kind of taken this bull by the horns.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, they're riding some bloody high watts, I've got to say, to even get a high heart rate. I mean, it's just... Look at that time gap, though. It's gone from 1:45 to 2 minutes. And then the reality is that group ahead, the B's and the C's, they'll be hitting that downhill and then the flats while these guys are still going up and down the rollers, which will push them back even further. So, I mean, it's a valiant effort, but unfortunately, they just don't have numbers on their side, and it's just going to be brutal. Looking at the catch here, though, between the B's, how quick did that come down? That was 30 seconds when we first started talking. Now it's down to
into
1.
The climbing.
Look at the D's.
So this is the difference.
Yeah,
this is the main difference part, right? This is the main difference. Wow, just roll right through. And now this could be the winning move, though, because these other B category riders may not latch on. Some of these C's trying to go through, and this is not a large group of riders where you can hide. So this may be a breaking point that these riders might have some infighting now at this point between the B's and the C's. And will they start looking at each other, which could give the D category a little bit of room to work with here. Mary here from HDRL really wanting to push on and make sure that they are not caught. But with only 39 seconds and so much landscape to work with, still 10 kilometers to go, going to be such a huge ask.
I just cannot believe how quick those catches were made. I mean, the D's were 1 minute 15 ahead. Now they're down to 35 seconds. And the B catch on that C's was just, that happened right when we were talking. Insane. I mean, the speed differential is massive. And I'd not be surprised to see Van Hove, who I think potentially is more of an A-cat rider after this race. She may get bumped up a little bit, but she's pushing some insane watts, and I think she might go for that solo victory coming up after this when they hit more of the flats. But yeah, there's a few C's really hanging on there, trying to stay up there, and they could have a bit more motivation to stay there now. But yeah, that was, I liked that. The B's, just when they hit those climbs, they're in the element.
Coming on through here now for the B category amongst the mixed race. See who's going to take it down as the catch was made. We've got some top names here in this B category today. As BB, Pennington's here as well from the 2024 team. Let's see if one of the ladies can grab a podium amongst them as well. Dave George from Twitch TV, good to see him hanging out here as well. Now we do have a little bit of a push off the front here. Hansen from WTRL coming out of the Netherlands, but it's going to be Locke from TAAP Cervelo at 7.9, looking to get into this turnaround with a little bit of speed and perhaps catch some of the riders off guard who want to just sit in and watch and wait for the sprint. Ashton there at 3.9, slowing it down with that 1 second gap.
Oh, look at this. And that little hairpin, if you can put in an acceleration that you can actually jump ahead just a little bit on those hairpins in Zwift. So this rider, Watt, doing well, but I mean, look at that pack chasing him down. And there are some huge sprint hitters in there. Doesn't have the fastest setup either with that wheel choice. So yeah, like Scotty P says, it'll flame out. I tend to agree. And we'll see this group coming forward. The sprint sort of starts just after this upcoming left-hander, and that's where we'll see those true Zwift racers know when to time it. They might have some power-ups they've just held on to, and it'll be an all-out massive bunch sprint to the line. But I like this from Locke. It's brave. It's good. It's good to see.
We're into the last 500 meters now, and it is an uphill sprint. 1% gradient or so it's going to be very difficult to hold this off. Jackson, give it a go now here out of South Africa, now up into 8 watts per kilogram. That's just the initial little bit of a bump up, though. It's not into those double digits, Orange, just as of yet, but here we go. It's going to be a kick here first from Effray out of France. Star-Lord looking to follow, unable to, as there is a little bit of a gap coming on through, and I did see a call out for the Skylab rider. Will Simon make it happen? But it's going to be Nielsen, actually, over the top. DBR getting the gap, gonna hold it right to the line as it is Danish bike riders taking it down with Jay Nielsen in for the chase race today.
Oh, that was great. That was yeah, that was kind of a sprint head and shoulders above everybody else. That came out of the pack like a cannon out of a gun. He was just cannon out of a gun. Cannon out of a...
You put cannons in a gun and fire them. No, you don't need bullets.
Don't do
cannonballs.
Cannonball out of a cannon. There we go. It was like a cannonball. And that was phenomenal. The women's race, though, they've... looks like those bees have
I feel like that's something out of Bugs Bunny or something. Like, we could, like, that could have been a thing. Or Wile E. Coyote tried something, and the Roadrunner actually ended up getting away because the coyote put a cannon in a gun. That's what happened, right?
Yeah, I think it's an old school cartoon thing. That's definitely what I'm saying. But I definitely got that wrong. You do not have a cannon coming out of a gun.
Marvin the Martian could do it. Marvin the Martian could make a cannon go into a gun. So.
Okay, yeah, there we go. Someone get a meme on that one. Van Hove here. I'm going to go her for the win. She's seems to be pretty high above everyone else on the watts that she can push out. They've got about 6-ish K to go. A couple of C, just looks like 1 C. IP from Zed Sun there managed to stick on in with these Bs. All the others dropped off about 9 seconds back now, and the Ds holding in with a couple of Cs. They managed to wrangle in and get on those wheels, but unfortunately for Mary from AHDR, hasn't been able to make it stick the lead at the front. Good bike choice, though. She obviously has kept up with all the changes that happened over the holidays, and she knows the fastest setup, so doing everything in her advantage. Also
the slickest setup, in my opinion. I mean, look at this kit with the Neokyo helmet and the shoes and socks. It's just the bomb. It just is.
I tried to make the Neokyo kit our new Riot kit. I was outvoted, but I love that Neokyo kit. I love
How did that even happen? How are you outvoted? What would they could possibly vote for? We're gonna find out. Don't spoil it. Don't spoil it, but we'll find out. and then I can completely rake them over the coals for not doing the Neokyo kit when we get into broadcast.
I know that, because look at those shoes. The moment I saw yellow lace-ups on purple, it looks
and they're lace-ups on a bike.
Good.
I mean, that's as exclusive as it gets. With the yellow on
it looks phenomenal.
Pinkish purple. I mean, I don't know what you'd even call that now.
But yeah, no, that's just purple. That's just purple.
That is
We can
not
go
purple.
with that.
Wait a second.
It's
That's
purple.
not purple. Chat, help me out here. This purple.
Yeah, those
Purple.
shoes are purple.
Those are
Absolutely
like
purple
no, that
shoes.
purple's on the back there, mixed with some blue, violet-ish. But
Okay.
that's a little more pink purple. Pink purple.
Oh, I think maybe one of us is colorblind, but I don't know which one.
I might have a little bit. I do remember actually having a little bit of feedback on what I thought purple was often. So perhaps there's that's going on. But see, look, this is on the front of a Nico Magic here. That's like at the very tip of the wheel is a little bit more pink,
That's
and then it matches into
yeah,
purple,
that's
then
great.
goes to blue. So we got the full
That's the two-tone
scheme
Tron.
there. We
Yeah.
have it. Yeah, we have the full scheme there. It seems like so we can at least agree there's pink, purple, and blue there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Because I've spent way too much time trying to get my Tron to look like the two-tone Tron, and it took me a very long time to realize that when you're standing still on the Tron, it's a different color to when you start pedaling.
Well, what does the little person in the background think? That's what I want to know. I want to know what they think is the is the pink
I just,
purple.
I'm looking out the window as my kids are jumping around on the trampoline going absolutely ballistic. So I'm trying not to look and get all worried mother, hoping that they're okay, but they look fine. They're bouncing around playing ninjas. So, yeah, they'll be good.
Renique from Magic as well. Magic has some numbers in here. Do you think they might start playing games? That is something that usually we don't see in a chase race, but with a smaller pack like this and teams that could work together a little bit in this B category, Magic's got the numbers, it looks like, here to try and make something happen. There were some herd riders as well, but it doesn't. Now, I wonder, are these all herd teams that just have a little bit different name as well? Because I did see a lot of herd riders in this B category signed up.
And what's this Magic team? Have you come across them before? I haven't heard about Magic.
I actually have not heard anything about this Magic team. I'm assuming that it is a herd team, though. Renique, El Renique, coming out of Ireland, is riding for that team, as well as De Vlieger out of the Netherlands. She was riding for the herd of little penguins, though, prior, and it still has that in the
All
name,
right.
actually. Excuse me. So I'm seeing herd in the name here now. So maybe it was actually a Nico. My fault. A Nico Pop. That is riding for
No,
that
she's got
Magic.
Herd. She's got Herd next to her name and
Yeah.
Swift
So
Power. So I think maybe a subsidiary of Herd. They're calling themselves Magic. So it'd be good to see. Obviously, maybe it's something leading into ZRL. Um, Herd of Magic. Usually they go with animals though. So like Herd of
that's what I was
Magic
wondering exactly. Like what is the herd
Wizards. Herd
thing
of Magic
going?
Wizards.
That's not an animal. A herd of wizards. do
Yeah, there
wizards
we
hang
go.
out
Why
in
not?
herds? I'm not, Missy Fufu's letting us know what a name there. That magic is herd. But magic what,
Ah, right.
Missy?
Okay.
That's what we need to know.
Yeah, I think. And did you know what a herd of crows is called?
Um, for some reason Edgar Allan Poe is coming to mind, but no, I do not.
Murder. A murder of
Oh, of
crows.
course it is. See? That's why Edgar
Yeah.
Allan Poe came to mind. Ah.
Yeah, it's pretty scary stuff. But I looked up all the herd names
Now you're
when we were
giving me
covering herd,
nightmares
and
from that
I
semi
know.
horror movie, The Birds, that like
Oh,
black
I
and white.
know.
Oh, that gave me nightmares as a
Yeah.
kid. Thanks a lot, Herd. Look what you're
Looking.
doing. Nightmare right now,
Yeah.
186 beats per minute. Maybe that's what they want to do. They're scaring everybody off the front right now. Van Hove looking to go with it. Naya's here from Little, Swiss Rider here.
This
But it
is
looks
an
like the
attack.
Big
These guys will stay
Juicer
away,
coming
I
through
think.
as well.
Yeah. Yep, these are the WTRL rider there, but Van Hove, I think, she is pushing pace off the front. She is, yeah, again, I'll call it out. I think that Vlida there from Herd kind of did an early little push just to see who would go with her. I would imagine these four now, they've got a second gap on Ranique there. That's about 30 meters when you're looking at the distance. So they're definitely out of that draft now. And these guys are pushing on big time. They're hitting that 6% grade though. So that gap is staying similar just because the two, I think that group behind has a slightly bigger number, just slightly, and they may get back on terms. But yeah, these guys don't have long to go, about 3 kilometers. So that group will catch up on that downhill. If you're going to attack on that uphill, you have to realize there's a downhill coming up, and either you've got to make the attack really stick and get 5 seconds as quick as you can, or just save your effort because you'll get caught by a group chasing on this downhill. So a little bit of a tip there. If you're going to attack an uphill before a down, you've got to make sure you make it stick.
Little bit of a look here across the ladies, and not one of them is from the same country, actually, which is really cool to see. We do see the A category actually making a catch for some of these straggling C's and D category riders. So good on Mobs and Ward here, not throwing in the towel. They will catch. It looks like Emily Atkins and Roadwall from See So I Race Like a Girl. Whitlock here in No Woman's Land. It's Nicola Whitrock from the BVRT team. And then it will be the main pack up front that did come all back together. But we've got Belgium, USA, Switzerland, Netherlands, Ireland, Sweden, and the UK all represented here, as well as that is going to be Hungary, I believe. Am I wrong? I'm probably totally wrong. No, I was 100% right. And with Nico as well.
I'm just loving the chat at the moment. First, I'll call out Marge there. So Marge is the one who did that little attack up the climb. Apparently, she is unbelievably strong, so she'll probably take the win. That's according to Missy Fufu. But I love the comment here from Jay Dawson, and he's saying, Nathan, crows wearing purple Adidas shoes eating aubergines, nightmare.
This is a nightmare. I absolutely love this, Dawson. As crows wearing purple Adidas shoes eating eggplants is a dream come true.
That is going to be some pretty nuts dreaming, I've got to say. That's awesome. I love this. It's the crew coming into the chat today is just top form. So thanks for that. Jay Dawson is also saying that Zwift need to do some Tron shoes so that it can help out your color blindness there, Nathan. So you're getting called out a lot. I saw quite a lot earlier on the chat too, as we're almost coming into the final stages of this women's race, is maybe having some charisma points for people just picking good kit choices, which I can't believe I did not think of that. 100%. And what an idea. Yeah, yes. Absolutely love it, because there's so many choices out there, and you can just, you get points for the gloves, matching the socks, and picking up the highlights from your kit. Absolutely. Whoever came up with that, that is bankable idea. That is perfect. Absolutely love it. Right on point.
Right. Great point there. And if you make a social post pronouncing these things all correctly, it's an extra half a watt as well. A Van Hove here now from Cryogen on the front. And that would be, the charisma. Those kinds of things I think are almost, there's a reason why the chatter around the fashion police and all of this kind of takes off, because it brings that personality, that little quirk that each one of us can kind of bring to the avatars from our in real life and be a little artsy with it. And that is something that I'm really looking forward to a little bit more with Zwift as the garage does expand. And it's a great call out actually, Anna, that you said earlier about each one of the parts of the bike, and then the personalities that could also come alongside of that as things do develop. Probably further down the road, if it does come, this is not any insider information, but obviously with clubs having more and more of an impact now as well, I think that it is in at least some drawing boards, perhaps. I would assume, and that is an assumption. But we are getting into the sprint here now. As Van Hove, you said, was the call out from you, but we are hearing that Margie is the one to really watch out for. She's heading to the front early, though.
Yeah, I mean, I think her and Van Hove will be looking at each other, a cryogen versus a herd rider. So we've got to see who's got a better sprint. Van Hove had the bigger watts, but she might not have that sort of last 10-second power needed.
This is so late.
Real late.
There it is. 10
there we go. Van Hove push it. Oh, there. Whoa. She has that. Whoa. Look at that jump. That's insane. No one's really going after it. And Nay there a little bit, but can't stick to those orange numbers. And then you've got Ranique there. No, it looks like Margie will take it out. That was a good call out from Missy Fufu on the socials. And Nay. Oh,
nope,
not quite.
Not going to happen.
Oh,
but she didn't go. I think she had it if she would have went with her at the same time. Margie got the jump is all that was really. in my opinion. Margie I mean, obviously the jump and the timing, that's a part of racing and the tactic, but she had the kick to stay with on the wheel and the right power up as well. It's just that little boost with the feather and a half a second timing that ended up not getting the win there in this chase race for it looks like Nay coming out of Switzerland there. Lots of herd. B category took it down both races actually. So interesting chase racing out here. Lots more chase racing to go. If you want to jump into a chase race every Wednesday throughout the entirety of the day, plenty of zones. You head over to WTRL.racing, jump in with your category. You'll be auto-catted into one of the categories, and you'll be in a massive team time trial, essentially encouraging each other on. It's been a lot of fun. I do know that there are some riders out there as well taking some leadership in each one of the zones and creating Discord channels to try and get some communication going, actually.
Oh, that's a great idea. We kind of talked about that at the beginning, that we think people will start getting the Discord going and get a bit of that team camaraderie. I mean, there'll be subtle movements as people kind of cat up as they get fitter over the season. But yeah, having everyone come together. We saw Scotty P there doing a great job with the bees. Probably a big reason they kind of went through and got that win today. So yeah, good on them. Good to see. The D's kind of exploded a little bit in both races, really, and just couldn't stick together on those climbs. I think that was just their downfall, just a little bit of rolling terrain. They really need that pan flat kind of fuego flats kind of a course, I think, to have a shot at winning these races.
100%. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in with us. If you want to take a look at the results for the rest of the day from the chase races, head on over to WTRL.racing. We do have the TTT tomorrow with myself and Dave. Will be broadcast for the Premier League, or Platinum League, excuse me. And we do have some features as well, so that'll be a lot of fun to check out who some of the community riders are that are participation at the top level of some of the categories in the WTRL TTT number 143. We're out on Yorkshire Harrogate. Going to be a tough course with a lot of climbing. And then next week, ZRL kicks off. Anna is taking over with Kate on early My Time Tuesday mornings. So she'll be on the APAC streams. Big shout out to Anna taking on that leadership role. Absolutely loving that. And her and Kate, always a ton of fun. So make sure to check that out. Anna, are you looking forward to it?
Oh, I am absolutely pumped. I started doing all the recons, watching Sherpa Dave and Cy Bradley's videos yesterday, getting into the course. I'm DSing the first race, and like you said, doing a bit of production. I just felt so bad for you getting up at 3 a.m. there, Nathan, and helping out the APAC crew. So that's awesome. It'll be great to see Kate back. Looks like she's had a good holiday, and I am pumped. Week after that, I'll be racing. So it's ZRL where it's at. I'm so maybe overexcited. I'll try and tone it down a bit. I don't want to get too excited. Just keep it in check. But it's going to be great.
All right, everybody. Make sure to WTRL.racing. If you haven't done so already and you got a team or you're thinking about putting a team, time's running out. Go sign up your team. We'll see you tomorrow for the TTT and next week for Premier Division on Zwift channels and here for the community racing on our channel for the community side of ZRL. As always, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Right on. Thank you.